Shall we do it?
And then you can move all that.
Let me know when we're ready.
We're good.
We're ready to go. Ready? Let's do this.
Ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Get Into It.
We're going to get into it today.
Yeah.
We're getting into it.
I'm your host, Mark Ice Roberts.
That's right.
And we've got Tuddy, Rod, Rinks.
Is that what we're going with? Because last week Lopez changed my name to Rod Ramirez. Remember?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Rod Ramirez.
But I don't know. Who am I now?
Rod Ramirez sounds like a serial killer.
Yeah.
Right?
There was Richard Ramirez.
That's right.
Richard
I'm his
Ramirez.
twin brother.
I don't know. I like Rod Rinks. Just even that's a good name. Good
Right?
nickname.
That's what
Yeah,
I
it's
thought.
a great name.
All right.
But you're Tuddy.
All
And
right.
we've got Buffalo. No, I keep messing it up.
That's the other
Yeah,
podcast.
it's a different.
He's the Wings Nickel.
Wings Nichols. Sorry, Wings Nichols. Well, I got to say, I'm super excited about today's show. Oh, my God.
Wait,
dude, this is
something's
amazing.
in store for me. I don't know what it is.
What's amazing about this podcast today is that we have, it's almost like finding Bigfoot. We have an actual filmmaker making movies for under $10,000. I've never made a movie for $10,000. We have to get into this.
Yeah.
And you're doing it with name actors. I mean, I'm talking about people that you're going to go, oh, wow, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? A lot of people think I can't do that for 10 grand. I can't make a movie. I can't make it valuable. You've made it valuable. You're making it happen. So let's just get everyone up to date. You raised $10,000 to do a movie.
Yep.
You shot 40% of the movie.
Yep.
It's in the can.
Yep.
Then you went to two known actors and said, will you be in my movie? And they said yes. Now, who are those actors?
One of the actors, his story is really, really amazing. His first film, he was directed by Robert De Niro in his directorial debut, and he played the role of Calogero in A Bronx Tale, which was based on Chaz Palminteri's life. I mean, that guy, Lilo Brancato, is like up there, right?
Right.
Well, fame, took its toll, and the poor guy, I mean, he's a talented guy. He went down the wrong path and got involved in drugs and everything. And I knew him years ago, but not really well. And he admits
this. He tells his own story.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
He was involved in a homicide. Off-duty cop was killed. He was with the guy who shot him, but he was a dope fiend. Right. And he ended up doing a decade in prison. And he gets out.
This is after Bronx Tale.
After Bronx Tale.
Wow.
He did Sopranos. He did Renaissance Man.
Working actor.
Like legit work. So he's a talented guy, right?
So you met him, and your great script convinced him to do your movie.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's just say. I mean, come on. You had to ask him.
Yeah.
He had to meet you.
I met him here on the set, and we started talking. And he said, hey, you look familiar. So we started chopping it up. We knew the same people. And then he goes, hey, take my number, man. And so I go over to him.
Here?
He was promoting his documentary called Wasted Talent. Because ironically, the message behind A Bronx Tale is wasted talent, right? And it was life imitating art. He wasted his talent. He was plucked off the beach in New York. He did De Niro for a casting director. You looking at me? They took him. He went all the way down the line. He won the role, right? Never acted in his life. Mentored by Robert De Niro and Chaz Palminteri. He had it all. He won the golden ticket.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to toot the horn of this podcast in any way.
Okay.
But
toot it.
Ever since we started doing this podcast, you seem to have gotten better at filmmaking. I'm talking about you're working with actors now. You got 40% of your movie done. You're heading in a different direction. You're convincing people to do your movie. In any way, do you feel like you've been inspired?
I think I have. And you know what we're doing? We're pitching here. And guess what? I'm getting better at my pitch. So when I pitch to people, they like it. And I pitched Brancato. I never thought he would do it in a million years.
Right.
We become buddies. We exchange numbers. And something in the back of my head was like, I should ask him. He was born in Colombia. His real name is Saul
Most
Rodriguez.
Italian acters are not Italian. I'm kidding. That's not true. But a lot of Latino actors play Italian.
Yeah.
Andy Garcia.
Yeah.
This gentleman.
Yeah.
Snooki.
No, who was the other guy? Anthony Quinn.
Anthony Quinn. Me.
You.
I played Larry Gallo in Mobtown. So I call him. I didn't know what to offer him in terms of money.
Oh, yeah, you texted me.
Yeah, I texted you. I said...
Well, here's what's funny. Now I'll interrupt you. You text me. You say, I want to ask this guy to do it. I think I said to you, just offer him the part and offer him the few dollars that you have.
Yeah.
And that's realistic, Yeah. Sometimes people just want to work.
And I offered him a lot, and you said that's very generous.
You start your 10 grand movie. You shoot a good portion of it. You get yourself an actor that's been around for a long time, very talented.
Yeah.
Filmmaking is not a dream. And sometimes it doesn't matter how much money you have. If the script's good, then people just want to work.
Yeah.
Having said that, you went out, you did it, you got somebody. Then you went out and got another actor. Tell me about that actor.
Mario Lopez?
Yeah, Mario Lopez. How'd you get him?
Well, that was just like, hey, dude, you're going to do this thing for me. What? Yeah, we're going to do it on set.
Two great actors in your film. Congratulations. Sometimes it's totally okay to ask somebody to be in your movie, even though they've done bigger things and probably gotten paid lots and lots of dough. Sometimes people just want to act. I got to go way back to my first movie. I worked on a film called Plump Fiction, which was a parody of Tarantino movies that I did with Rhino Records. There's an actor named Dan Castellaneta who plays Homer's voice on The Simpsons. So I remember we're working on the film. It's a low budget film. It's probably $800,000. We've got Julie Brown, Tommy Davidson, a bunch of fun names. And we get a call from the cast director saying, hey, Dan Castellaneta wants to be in the movie. And we're like, no way. There's no way he'll do the movie. Like, we have scale. Anyway, so we cast him.
Yeah.
He shows up. We're on set. We're at the craft service table. I walk over to him. I go, hey, I'm Mark Roberts. I'm one of the producers. I said, what made you want to do this movie? And he said, well, you don't see my face on The Simpsons. I want to act. I want my face to be seen.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
See, I think with Lilo, too, because when I offered, he was very great. Like I said, I talked to him. He's like, thank you so much, bro. It's a different character than he's ever played. He's playing a Latin drug lord who's charismatic and fun.
That matters.
And has a big heart.
That
so
matters.
He's excited, which makes me excited.
Well, let's talk about things that go wrong. You know what's what's
big went wrong yesterday.
Yeah,
but...
you know what's interesting about things that go wrong? Again, I go back to an earlier film I did. I did a film called Bravo. I went to Mexico City to shoot it. I was working with Carlos Gallardo was starring in it and producing. He was El Mariachi in the original El Mariachi. So we're out there in Mexico. We're on a bus going to this remote location. I've got all the actors on the bus with me. We're all heading down there. And the one guy who's playing a big role in the movie is reading the script on the bus. And we stop for people to go to the restroom and get some snacks.
Yeah.
We're almost to the location, to the hotel. And he comes over to me and sits down next to me. He says, hey, I read the script. I hadn't read the whole thing. I don't agree with what it's about. I don't appreciate that the character that he's a traitor. So I'm going to get off of the bus now. And I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. Now we're shooting.
Damn.
We're shooting the next day. I've got a bus of actors. It's not like being in LA.
I thought my thing was bad yesterday.
There's no way to recast him at that moment. He gets off the bus. I'm like, hang on, he's like, no, I'm sorry. I gotta go. This is a personal decision. I'm not doing it. So he leaves. Claudia Becker, one of the main great casting directors of Mexico, cast him. He leaves. We get back on the bus. We're heading. In the middle of nowhere. He got off the bus. So I'm like thinking, how is he going to get back? I didn't understand. So we get to the location. We get off the bus. It's an English-speaking white man. No one else is white in the movie. No one else speaks English in the movie without an accent. So I go to my AD, who's American, and I was like, you're playing this government agent tomorrow and in the movie. He goes, I've done a little acting. I can do it. So I don't remember his name, but he ended up getting cast in the movie, and we did what we had to do. $200,000 movie.
How did he do?
He did fine.
He
wasn't the guy I picked.
Right. He did fine.
But he did fine.
Yeah.
But that was a disaster in a way. And we survived it and we moved forward. We made the movie. It did just fine.
Yeah.
We did a good little movie. Yeah. Now, when you're doing a small movie, things go wrong.
Yep.
It's not the end of the world.
No.
You have to fix it. You have to find a way, right? So you had $10,000 starting your movie, and what happened?
I had somebody come to me who's an aspiring director. And, he was like, hey, he liked my writing and he wanted to do more work. And he said, let's do a movie. And I just was reading up on Rebel Without a Crew, the formula we talked about, the $7,000, 14 days, minimal cast, minimal locations, how to make a $7,000 movie. So I tell him, I go, I just did this thing. I go, I think I have a good idea for a script. And he goes, cool. He goes, let's do it. I go, well, I need money. I go, if you can come up with $5,000 and I'll find $5,000, let's make this movie for $10,000. You can co-direct it with me because I want to direct it too, like since I'm writing it. And he goes, done. $5,000, no problem.
Did you
done.
shake on it?
looked me in the eye, shook my hand, the whole bit. So I had my end, right? Mm-hmm. So yesterday, I got to book Lilo's ticket, right? And the 40%, I got very proud of this. The 40% that I have shot, guess how much I've spent so far?
5,000.
2,500.
Wow, nice.
So I still have about 2,500 left, right? So that would pay for Lilo's airfare, hotel, to get him out here, but I owe him money. Like, I got to pay him, right?
Right.
So I'm going to be cutting it very close, but I will make this movie for under $10,000. I'll probably make it for about $7,000. I was just so disappointed because I went to the guy and I said, hey, man, we got to get Lilo's flight. Like, and he goes, I can't. I don't know what to tell you. And I said, what do you mean no one would tell me? What do you mean? He goes, I don't have the money. And I just said, man, this isn't what we talked about. This, I was relying on you.
Life happens.
I do need him.
No, of course.
And because he's
You're
my
honorable.
eyes.
You're honorable.
Yeah, I'm honorable.
You're going to keep your side of the bargain.
Yeah, and I had a really kick-ass director come up to me. He read the script. This guy named Mike Hermoso. He's badass. I've seen his work. And he said, man, I would love to direct this. I would love to be a part of this. And
but
I
you said no.
Because I'm loyal to my friend.
Right. Never take money from people that don't have more than what they're investing, because it becomes complicated. And if that's all you've got, then you shouldn't be investing in film. But anyway, I know that you're going to solve this, because many, many times I've run out of money, and lots of filmmakers run out of money. And when you have a great actor like you do and great momentum like you do, the original investors will not let you fail. They will step up and they will help you. What I would say is go back to the guy that no longer has the 5,000 and say, look, I'm going to keep my end of the bargain. This is not a big deal. What can you come up with? 1,000, 1,500?
Yeah.
And whatever he can come up with, let him contribute so that you feel good about what you're doing, so that it doesn't end up being really negative.
What I want to do, and it would make me feel better about the whole situation, I want to tell him, and I think I am going to tell him this. Look, once I run out, I want you to pick up the ball. So guess what? The other people who have to get paid, you have to pay them. The food that needs to be bought, you have to do that. Like all that stuff that needs to get picked up, that's going to have to go on you.
I would still say
a number.
Yeah, I would still say if he's only got $1,000, go ahead and take that $1,000. You'll at least know what you have, so that you don't run into the night before thing. Yeah, where like, oh yeah, I know I said that, but I can't, because then you'll start affecting your relationships, and you don't want to do that. Save yourself a headache. Get whatever he can give you, put it in the bank, and then be economical with the rest of it. And I'm sure your investor will cover the rest. You're talking about a $10,000 movie, and let's be honest, that's an amazing feat that you were doing. So congratulations.
Thank you, buddy.
We're going to move on, and we'll come back to you when you're all done and finished, and it's a huge success. I mean, look, for $10,000, it's got to work, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I've seen your work. It's really, you do great work. So I'm sure it's going to be very cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Now, let's talk about Cautionary Tales.
Yeah.
Who do we have in the studio? Special guest out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. Surprise visits. My good friend, Eric Swanson.
Eric Swanson. Dude, Eric, thank you for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
Amazing to have you. You've done extremely well in your life.
Thank you for your kind words.
not as an actor, nor as a producer. What is your history? Give us a little history so that people know what you're about.
Well, I started wanting to be a writer, and I wrote a screenplay, and it all started in the summer of 1984. And in 1984, I just finished up my freshman year at USC, and I was in film school, and a couple of the guys that I had gotten to know during my freshman year at USC were Pacific Palisade guys who played a lot of beach volleyball down at Santa Monica. Yeah, and so I started playing with them. And so, I sort of became a regular player with them. And I had grown up in Chicago, in a suburb outside of Chicago. So I sort of had, those Midwestern sensibilities. So I'm sitting there saying to these guys, this is the most unbelievable, sort of California dream I could ever imagine. The beach volleyball, Santa Monica. This is just remarkable. And to them, it was just, it was home to them. But to me, it was remarkably special. So, I said to them, I'm going to write a movie script about this, because, I'm at SC, as were they. And I said, I'm going to write a coming of age movie script about this, that is about what I'm feeling right now. And so, so then my sophomore year, I was in a screenwriting class, and I started this script.
Had there been any movies at that point about
No.
volleyball?
There had been no beach volleyball movie at that time,
Right.
And so it was very new. In fact, at that time in the summer of '84, it was not an Olympic sport.
Right.
It was relatively unknown outside of Southern California,
Right.
and so I started my script in the beginning of my sophomore year in the fall of '84. And so started writing a coming of age movie about two friends who come to Santa Monica from a suburban outside of Chicago, a la me,
Yeah.
and
Right, what you
and they were
know.
they were indoor gym volleyball players when they were in high school, learned the beach volleyball game. And one of the guys, uncle, works at the Bel Air Beach Club, right? And gets them a job as cabana boys. And so they're cabana boys, and they spend the summer doing their, cabana-esque things. Mm-hmm. Then they become, part of the beach volleyball scene. And then they end up winning the big beach volleyball
At
tournament.
the end,
And
they win the tournament.
Yeah, and then they get mentored by one of the local guys, and one of the guys, John, is the main character, who is sort of modeled after me and my life, so to speak, in Chicago. He has a girlfriend and whatnot, and he does that kind of thing.
And what was the name of your script?
Well, it started out as Pulled Up, and then it became Side Out.
Side Out.
Yeah.
Now, this is a really remarkable story. When we first met, you told me, or Mario said to me, he wrote a script a long time ago called Side Out. And I think I went into a long conversation with you about it because I was a big fan of the movie that came out.
Right.
And I may have talked at you for 20 minutes before I realized that there was a lot more to the story.
There's a lot more to the story.
But in your case, you wrote a really great script based on your experiences, sort of loosely based on yourself. Somehow that script ended up becoming a movie,
Right.
which you had nothing to do with.
Correct. My sophomore year, I moved into, I was in student housing, and so you don't really pick your roommates. And one of the roommates, there were three other students in my suite, and one of the other students was in the mailroom at one of the large agencies, and he and I became very good friends, and he sort of followed the development of Side Out, and was
your agent. It's your agent calling. You better pick it up. Stop talking about Side Out.
and he was intrigued by the story and whatnot, and would read the pages as I would write them and make comments and whatnot, and we got along to the point where we decided that we were going to room again together the following year, which we then did, and so we became best friends, best college friends. And then ultimately, became an agent. And so after SC, we again, continued to room together, and we just had this mutual love of the entertainment industry. And,
right.
and I was the screenwriter and wannabe screenwriter.
Is that what you wanted to be, though? Was that the whole plan of USC Film School, was to be a screenwriter?
Yes, I had an emphasis on filmic writing. Yeah, for me, that was what it was all about. I mean, I'm first and foremost, a writer.
Yeah.
Then, I finished the script. It was my senior thesis at USC. And then Side Out became my sort of calling card.
Right. Through
some friends of friends that I had, I had a couple of pitch meetings that didn't go anywhere,
right.
And then so I was sort of thinking to myself, well, nothing's really happening, and Side Out isn't really getting any traction. And then all of a sudden I was at a USC game one day. Now it's about 1987, I guess, 88,
yeah.
right?
3 years since you started.
I graduated and whatnot, and I was working at the time at King World, and so I was at a USC football game, and somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, hey, congratulations! It's just amazing, your movie." And I said, "What movie?" And they said, "Just Side Out." I was just down at the set.
Wow.
I said, "What?"
Oh my God.
And they said, "Yeah, Side Out." And I said, "You got to be kidding." And they said, No, it's your story. I've read your script. I know it. It's your story. And I said, I don't know anything about it. So anyway, I then confronted the friend and said, Side Out's been made.
Right.
And it's being made, by TriStar, and it's a movie, and it's exactly my story, minus the fact that it's instead of two friends coming out from Chicago, it's one friend, one guy, right. And he befriends, and his uncle gets him a job at a beach club, and he wins a big beach volleyball tournament.
Right.
I said that's the only difference,
right.
Anyway, and
did he have anything to do with that?
Well, I don't know.
Right.
All I know is he had the script and knew the script and
right.
had read it, many times.
Right.
Just so happened that the agency where he was employed, represented the writer of Side Out.
Yeah.
That is.
So it just is what it is. Then I went to an entertainment lawyer, and I got the script of the Side Out, the TriStar Side Out, in my script, and put them side by side, and the lawyer read both of them and said, "This is clearly a clear lift, no doubt about it. This is a clear lift."
So the dialogue was similar,
it's just an absolute clear
Swanee,
lift.
did you register it with the Writers Guild and everything?
Yeah,
you did, and that didn't hold up any.
Here's the story.
Okay.
So the lawyer said to me, "You're just a fresh guy out of SC. Do you really want to start your career in litigation? Do you really want to do that?"
Oh man!
Particularly against a high-powered agency. And I said, "No, I guess I don't." He said, "I think that's the right decision." So that was that. That's the story of Side Out.
First of all,
but hold on, let me just say one thing. That's not the end of Swan Dog, though.
No, of course
no,
not.
because Swan Dog then, you know what? He bit down and he did a play. And he went to New York and did an off-Broadway. Am I right?
Yeah. So I had gone from King World to Lorimar. And I was in their comedy development department, just as an assistant guy,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'd watch, sitcoms being taped and whatnot on the lot. And I thought, in addition to being a writer, I also think I could be an actor, And so I decided that I was going to model myself after Sam Shepard,
Mm-hmm.
And so I left Hollywood and I went to New York and I went to the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute.
Nice.
And I decided I was going to, write myself into being Sam Shepard.
Yeah.
So I wrote a play called The King of L.A. And it was just another sort of, story of youth
mm-hmm.
and a young man's experience trying to find love mm-hmm. in Los Angeles and the trials and tribulations of that, and it was somewhat autobiographical,
right. Write what you know,
write what you know.
Right.
I didn't really shop it. I just wrote it, and then sort of that was that, and then through a friend, I was introduced to the guy who wrote Tony and Tina's Wedding.
Right.
Which, at the time was the longest running off-Broadway show in New York.
Which I think is still
it's still
everywhere.
It's
somewhere.
It's all over.
Yeah.
And so Mark Nasser, is the gentleman's name. And so he read my script and he said, "I love this. This is fantastic, and I want to direct this." I said, "Great." So, but it became a question at that time, because there was other people's money involved, right?
So wait a minute. So let me just get it straight. So you wrote. Was this another script for a feature?
No, it was a play.
It was a play. So
while I was at Strasberg, I wrote a play.
You wrote a play that you were going to star in.
Yes.
And then you pitched it, and someone said, "I want to make this. I want to direct it."
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark Nasser. Right. Exactly. And so, but there were since other people were putting up the money, it was determined that I wouldn't be the actor. That maybe it would be a good idea for this not to be a vanity project, but for instead to have a somebody.
Did it get made?
With somebody, yes, it became L.A. Tango, and it had a 2.5 week run off Broadway on 42nd Street, and it was packed house, and it was great.
That's true.
Yeah, and it was great.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for sharing the Side Out story.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I want to say I don't know that there was anything to do about that. I think things happen. If you don't get caught up in the wake that sometimes is a project, you kind of fall off, and next thing you know, it takes a different route to getting made. I never think that it's cool to exclude people, but sometimes in this business, the people that are in the trenches, making mm-hmm. deals, pushing things through, can only think about number one.
Right.
And it's unfortunate and it's painful.
Right.
and it's not right. I think it happens a lot. And, you know, what I tell myself, young filmmakers all the time is I say, look, have many ideas.
Right.
Have lots of things to do, such as yourself. You went out, you wrote a play, you had some success with it. You know, you have lots of ideas and you'll have more, and you can't get caught up. And I think you made a really wise decision by not litigating. I don't know that what you would have received had you won would have been as valuable as the career that you've ended up with, you know?
Yeah, that was sort of the tale, the wisdom that was expressed to me, and I believe you're right. Sour grapes, maybe, you know, for sure.
Well, you could always look back and say, where would have I been?
Right.
Because it was a great movie, it was a great idea, it was yours. No one can ever take that away from you. It was originated in your mind, and you probably could have had a lot more had you had success there. But on the other hand, there's lots of people that, you know, do one great movie and move into other things anyway. So look, I know you. It's difficult for me because I think you're a superb person, and I know that you would never take something from someone else. I meet people all the time pitching, you know, that want me to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure.
Right.
They're not going to tell me their idea because it's way too big.
Right.
And if they tell me, then I'm going to steal it because it's so unique. And I'm always thinking, you know, you should just be thinking of more ideas. Like, throw that one out into the world and come up with something else. Throw that one out into the world and come up with something else. Because, I don't know, ideas are, if you have it, you have it. You know, you had it. You made two stories that made a difference, and then you went in a different direction. Why did you choose not to continue as a writer or as an actor?
Because I met my wife to be, you know, and I needed financial stability.
Right.
So I went into sports television, and I went to work for IMG and became an agent representing sporting events. So that's, you know, so I mean, I had two passions, you know, coming out of, you know, childhood, so to speak, is writing and sports.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I needed to, you know, provide. And you know, and I just didn't see that on the horizon,
right.
As a screenwriter.
And
you know?
have you found satisfaction in the work that you do?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
No doubt about that. And you know, Rod, you know, is a regular screenwriter and has written, you know, some terrific screenplays, and frankly, it's been an inspiration to me, where I've thought to myself, you know something, maybe it's time to, you know, give it another shot.
So you're writing now?
I'm not. No, but
you know,
that's why I use the word maybe.
But you know what? Swanee lives out by me, so we meet at this place, this cigar lounge, really cool. But he reads all my stuff and gives me great notes.
Right.
And recently, our last meeting, because Swanee spends a lot of time in New York. That's where his job is, and he comes back in, so I'll see him every other month or whatever. And so I'm telling him about El Chingo and Liz, the $10,000 movie, blah, blah. And I have L.A. Tango, because it's a script, right? Yeah, he wrote it into. Yeah, I have it. I think you read it too.
I may have read it.
It's good. It's really good, like the characters, but it's like almost like a play, because it was a play. You know, it's minimal locations, all that stuff, but it fits in that formula for, you know. And so Swanee goes, "Can you make that for $10,000?" And I was like, "Shit, I probably can."
You can make anything for $10,000.
Yeah, I can, but I don't know if I can get my guy. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of these things where, like, my guys right now that are doing this for $10,000. They're doing it with the hopes that we sell this for a little bit of a profit and we all make a little bit of money.
I think you guys
But I mean, it's not, you know, it's something that's definitely can be done, no problem.
If it works, then you do it again. But yeah, look, I want to thank you.
It was my pleasure entirely. Thank you.
It's amazing. Thanks for sitting in. I mean, we really got a treat.
Yeah.
Because you wrote an amazing script, and you know what? No one can ever take that away from you. You wrote a great, and I love the movie.
You know, as a sports guy, I'd like to think that it helped put beach volleyball on the map, and is one of the reasons, perhaps, why it's an Olympic sport.
Right.
Because it was the first time, really, that beach volleyball was exposed on a national level or an international level.
And exciting.
Yeah, exciting. Exactly.
Well, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for inspiring other filmmakers. Thank you for letting them know that there's life beyond getting robbed there. So appreciate you being here. Rod, Rinks, Thank you for being our other special guest today and telling us about your $10,000 movie, which, by the way, you laugh, but I'm not kidding. I really commend you and I congratulate you on making that happen.
Thank you.
Because I think a lot of people listening to this that are thinking, maybe I can't do it. You actually can, and you can get yourself a nice actor.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is ask. Because these guys, look, someone may say, like, you're crazy, I'm not doing that because they're on a big show. But what if they haven't worked in a while and all they want to do is just be seen? It's possible. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with Let's Get Into It.
Let's get it.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. See you next time.